Branson, who owns the airline Virgin Atlantic, has confirmed he's talking to Dan Air about a possible rescue package. He said it was possible he'd join forces with Dan Air and set up a company called Virgin European Airways. Shares in Dan Air's parent company, Davies & Newman, were suspended while talks are going on.
Today, Dan Air flights were operating as usual, but sources close to the talks with Richard Branson were tonight putting the chances of a successful deal at no more than 50%. Dan Air is expected to make losses of at least £7 million this year, and it needs to raise around £40 million to make sure it can keep going into 1993.
I think the industry has been dreadful throughout this past year, and it wouldn't have been anybody's first choice of a period during which to try to go for growth. The industry has had a dreadful time from start to finish through the last couple of years since the Gulf War, and Dan Air has done wonderfully well to survive as well as it has against these dreadful conditions.
Dan Air is basically a European airline. Apart from its charter operations, it has scheduled flights to 21 cities from the UK. Virgin Atlantic, however, as the name suggests, primarily caters for long-haul passengers to North America. So if the two were to coordinate their operations, Virgin would feed passengers onto Dan Air's European routes.
If we can make sure the quality is of a particular standard, then we'd be delighted to rename it Virgin European Airways and try to bring fares down across to Europe and get the quality up.
One of Dan Air's own peculiar problems has been its image of the history, the Dan Dare image, which probably no way is that justified by what they're doing at the present time. One of the things that Virgin and Richard Branson may be able to bring to Dan Air is a much better image, a much better marketing programme and a higher profile with the general travelling public.
The deal would give Virgin 51% of Dan Air, but even with the rescue, some Dan Air staff face the loss of their jobs. If Richard Branson succeeds, he'll establish here at Gatwick a hub connecting Dan Air's European scheduled flights with his own international operations. If he fails, there's a danger that another famous name in British aviation could disappear. Greg Wood, News at 10, Gatwick.
Our reports on the bomb blast in Covent Garden. Richard Branson of Virgin Atlantic has been telling Newsroom Southeast why he's pulled out of a rescue package for the troubled Dan Air airline. Dan Air, which employs hundreds of people at Gatwick, is now believed to be talking to British Airways about a possible deal. But Mr. Branson says if BA does team up with Dan Air, he'll launch his own European airline to compete against it. Marie Kinsey reports.
When push came to shove, Dan Air and Virgin simply couldn't do business together. Dan Air, it's believed, is in deeper trouble than many thought, with independent experts predicting the airline could lose up to £20 million this year, and it risks collapse. To survive, it needs more money than Richard Branson was willing to invest. Some estimate as much as £60 million.
It's very difficult for anybody to make money in the airline business at the moment. They've also got certain other problems, which like a mixed bag of planes and quite a heavy price maintenance contract and one or two other things, which we particularly wouldn't have liked. But maybe somebody else looking at Dan Air might be able to live with.
There's intense speculation that Dan Air's latest suitor is British Airways, which walked away from talks with the company only last month. If it is, and they end up with Dan Air's routes, then Richard Branson says he'll set up a new airline to compete.
I think the only occasion that we'll actually push on and set up a European airline is if Dan Air got eaten up by the big bad wolf. Obviously, it would be wonderful to see the staff of Dan Air's jobs, most of them being saved. On the other hand, it will mean that the independent airline sector in Britain will have been severely damaged. And I think the only way to compensate for that would be to set up a rival European airline to British Airways, and that's something which we will do.
Dan Air is the UK's second largest airline, employing over 2,000 people, most of them around Gatwick Airport. The recession has badly damaged both its lucrative charter business and its network of scheduled flights across Europe. Gatwick has already suffered through the collapse of Air Europe earlier this year. Dan Air could be perilously close to following it.
Time is moving rapidly. The summer season is now finished, so their main charter business is now out of the way. And the winter time is always much more difficult for airlines such as Dan Air.
Wholly owned subsidiary in its place. The deal means that up to 1,600 jobs are to go out of a workforce of more than 2,000. 26 of the 38 aircraft are to be sold. The charter operation will stop and its network of scheduled destinations will be more than halved.
Talks between the two airlines' lawyers had gone on throughout the night at Speedbird House, BA's Heathrow Airport headquarters. They'd first discussed a possible rescue bid earlier this year, but the talks broke down and only resumed after separate discussions between Dan Air and Virgin Atlantic also collapsed. The agreement they've hammered out is said to involve BA paying around £30 million for Dan Air's scheduled services. British Airways is not interested in the holiday charter business. It was the slump in the package holiday market which led to Dan Air's original problems. But other British airlines, including Britannia, Air UK and British Midland, are already voicing opposition.
We have already had meetings with the European Commission in Brussels, and we have made representations in writing to the Office of Fair Trading and to the Department of Transport, and we shall be seeking the most vigorous scrutiny of any transaction between Dan Air and British Airways.
The unions are relieved. They had feared many more job losses.
It certainly could have been worse. We need a lot more information to see the details of this package before we'd want to say that this is the best thing that could have happened. But without a doubt, it could have been much, much worse than it is.
Virgin Atlantic has adopted a different tactic. Richard Branson says he wants to compete with BA on European routes, which by implication means BA surrendering flight times, known as slots.
We must be able to fly alongside British Airways to places like Paris and Brussels and other cities in America. And I think as long as we can actually get those necessary slots, we have no real objection to BA getting bigger.
For the government, a BA rescue has the advantage of saving at least some jobs at Dan Air. But any link-up, however loose, between Britain's two biggest airlines will make life harder for the rest. And even if it escapes reference to the MMC, it's still possible the deal will be taken to the European Commission.
The former head of the
The 6 o'clock news from the BBC with Peter Sissons and Moira Stewart.
Good evening. The headlines at 6 o'clock. British Airways buy the struggling Dan Air airline for £1, but take on £35 million worth of debts. 1,600 jobs are expected to go. The unions say it's better than total collapse. Announced that it's taking over the financially troubled airline Dan Air, but it means the loss of up to 1,600 jobs. Under the deal, British Airways acquired the parent company for a nominal sum of £1 in return for taking on the group's assets and liabilities. About 3/4 of Dan Air's current workforce will go, and Dan Air's charter operation will be axed.
Talks with British Airways had gone on throughout the night, but it wasn't until just after midday that it was announced that Britain's second biggest airline is becoming a wholly owned BA subsidiary. BA is paying £35 million, which covers Dan Air's debts but leaves nothing for shareholders. Of the airline's 38 aircraft, 26 will either be written off, sold or given back to the makers. BA will hang on to just a dozen Boeing 737s. About 1,500 Dan Air staff will lose their jobs. The 500 or so remaining will be offered work in a new BA Gatwick-based short-haul airline, but BA's chairman says they'll have to take a pay cut.
The company is bust. It's closing down or will close down. We are picking it up. We're restructuring the company. We're offering jobs to people that would be out of jobs. Now, whether the pay is competitive with what they were having or what they were getting or not, I can't tell you because those rates have to be agreed. But they're good jobs, and there's a tremendous opportunity here to build a new and strong and powerful Gatwick.
Dan Air's chairman says it was the best deal he could get.
Had gone to the limit of the company's ability to survive without an alliance. Throughout the last 4 months, we had realized that we were under progressive pressure, and we had sought an alliance with one of the leading airlines of the world. We'd actually had dialogues with some 20 such operators and failed to come up with any meaningful discussion.
BA insists the proposed deal will benefit the travelling public and says it's conditional on not being blocked, either by the Monopolies and Mergers Commission or by the European Commission. In that event, they'd call off the deal. But the Civil Aviation Authority says it's raised serious issues of competition. Other airlines, including Britannia, Air UK and British Midland, feel the same way.
We have already had meetings with the European Commission in Brussels, and we have made representations in writing to the Office of Fair Trading and to the Department of Transport, and we shall be seeking the most vigorous scrutiny of any transaction between Dan Air and British Airways.
Union officials say job losses could have been worse, but they don't like what's on offer.
We've saved some of Dan Air, and we're going to lose a great deal of pay and conditions that British Airways people enjoy at Gatwick at present.
BA hopes the deal will be cleared within a matter of weeks. In the meantime, all Dan Air tickets and reservations remain valid and aircraft continue to fly.